Thank you very much for joining us here today at Light of Day Organics in Traverse City, Michigan. My name is Angela Mackey, and you can find us at lightofdayorganics.com. I thought what might be nice today is to talk about how to make the perfect cup of tea. Many people see loose teas and they become immediately intimidated if it's not surrounded by a bag. So the thing to start with first is good water. You don't want it to have a funny taste or smell to it, funny clarity. But if it's water that tastes good to you, it'll work just fine. So you want to bring your water to a boil. And then, in this case, I'm going to give it a little time, let it cool off just a touch, because we are going to use a tea infuser. And there are many different styles and shapes. Basically, you want to choose a style that's big enough to allow your tea to have a little elbow room so it can open up and really you can receive all the benefits that the tea is trying to offer you. And I'm going to start with a tea. It's a Mao Fang style tea from a very ancient tea plant in China. And it translates to actually fancy eyebrow tea, if you can imagine. You know, it looks like someone rolled it to be like a fancy, almost like a caricature eyebrow. All done by hand. So this is the Mao Fang style tea. The name of this tea here is called Top of the Mountain Green. It's a tea that's grown about 6,000 feet elevation, again from a Camellia sinensis tree that's over 150 years old. Camellia sinensis, again, is an evergreen shrub, and it grows to over 40 feet in nature. So we're letting our water cool down just a little bit. Normally the ideal temperature for green tea is about 175 to 195 degrees. So we're going to put our 2 grams of tea, or our teaspoon, into this gold infuser basket. Very similar material to what you see in your gold coffee filters in your coffee machines. And we're just going to simply drop it into the water, make sure all of our leaves are wet, and we're going to cover the tea. Very important component to make sure that the essential oils do not evaporate. And we're going to set our timer, and we're going to set this for about 1.5 minutes, about 90 seconds, and then we're going to taste it. And you might be asking, how do I make the perfect cup of tea? How do I know if I steep it the correct amount of time? And the answer is, however it tastes good to you, because it's your cup of tea. If you like it mild, you may only want to steep it for 30 seconds. If you like it a little stronger, slightly more bitter or sweet, depending on the tea, you might want to go 3 minutes, even up to 5 minutes. Something careful to think about here, the reason we let our water cool, white tea and green tea are a little more sensitive to the temperature. Boiling water is 212. Black teas can handle that hot temperature, but the white teas and green teas like a little cooler, 175 to 195. Oolong tea, which is a partially oxidized tea, that's a tea that can also handle boiling hot water, but to keep it on the safe side, my recommendation is always about 195 degrees. And then again, just to check it every so often for color and flavor. And as you become a tea connoisseur yourself, you'll begin to figure out how you like your different styles of tea. Now, if you can zoom in here a little bit and see how this tea is already starting to open up. This is called the agony of the leaves. The Chinese called it this because until these leaves were put into water, they were carefully, meticulously, they were folded into that eyebrow shape by hand intentionally, and they were preserved. And now they're starting to open up, and they're giving us all the attributes that the Camellia sinensis plant has to offer. And it's just a very exciting time in the tea industry right now, because for thousands of years there's been many speculated benefits for tea, but now we have proven benefits for tea. We have new studies now that show that tea is reversing the effects of Alzheimer's disease. It works by keeping the cardiovascular system young, so it makes everything work better. Our brains work better when they're getting more oxygen, our hearts and our vascular systems work better. There's increase in circulation for peripheral vascular disease, which is helping people that have, cold extremities. Also increases our metabolic rate by 4% a day, which at the end of a year ends up in an 8-pound weight loss. Very exciting. Oolong tea is the teas from Taiwan here are the country that founded that study, that published all that work. But we know, since it's the same botanical, that we can probably safely assume that all tea is going to raise our metabolic rate, whether it's oolong, green, black. So your question might be, okay, well then what's that sleepy time blend that I love to have at night? That's not tea. If you look at the ingredients, it doesn't say tea in it. It's not a tea. It's actually something, the whole umbrella called tisanes. Tisane is a French word that's derived from the Greek that can mean anything except tea, basically. Flowers, roots, bark, berries, herbs. Similar to our hummingbird nectar here again. This is a fruit melange, a fruit tisane. There's no tea in here. And you might think, well, maybe that's not as good for me as tea, but it is in different ways. Each of our teas was blended for a certain reason. In this case, it was to get our children to get enough vitamin C. 1 6-ounce serving of the hummingbird nectar has over 600 milligrams of vitamin C because of the hibiscus and the local cherries and the grapes. And so all teas, whether it's a tisane or a true tea, have many healthful attributes, and I hope that you will learn to make tea part of your day, make it part of your ritual. It's a wonderful thing to enjoy with friends. Tea is a safe beverage, whether you're celebrating the birth of a child or honoring the death of a loved one. Tea is a safe beverage today. So now we're going to enjoy a cup of our Top of the Mountain Green. And if you'll just look at that beautiful liqueur, one little cup of green tea like this has over 500 milligrams of antioxidants. And white tea has about 30 times that amount. Something that is interesting to mention when you're steeping tea, because a lot of people are concerned about caffeine these days, and new studies also show that even 1 cup of caffeine in the first trimester of pregnancy doubles the risk of miscarriage. So people are very concerned about caffeine. But what's so remarkable about tea is 85 to 95% of the caffeine comes out in the first 30 seconds of steeping. So that means, very literally, this pot right here, which we steeped our tea in, is the only pot that really has any caffeine to speak of. So we could take these same leaves and reinfuse them, have the same flavor, same color, but no caffeine. And the wonderful thing about a high quality tea, loose tea, is you can re-steep over and over and over again as long as there's flavor and color that suits you. You'll know when it's done because, again, it's your cup of tea. So we thank you very much for visiting us today here in Traverse City, Michigan, and peace to you.